of the case that we've come to see. So as far as we know, there was someone who entered the store by the name of XxTentacion. And now my questioning is for Riva Motorsports. What was your true initiative in this situation? What really happened in that store? Because we have no proof that this man left out willingly, let alone walked out on 2 feet. All we know is that he entered the store. For all we know, he could have been unconscious sitting in the car or carried to the car. These are all alleged, but as evidence falls down, just like a normal investigator would use it to damn someone else and put out pictures, we can use this to, again, basically identify wrongs or things that they've done and haven't done. Now, looking at the evidence, for real, and from a perspective, objectively, all we can do is put up speculation that these cases may have had an issue. Now, one of the main issues we could find in this case is the fact that there are no witnesses that are credible. We have one witness who was put out on social media on a newscast that can be disproved and allegedly had, let's say, a guy that was lying, let alone the anchor is not credible. So what are we supposed to really get to if we're analyzing every bit of the story and figuring out what it really means? I mean, let's get into the details. So we have no proof XxTentacion walked out of that store. They would not release security camera, and Riva Motorsports has not spoken but saying he was family. Now, we also cannot prove or disprove the fact that the anchor and witness were there first on the scene, except the witness who contradicted his story. These are all heavy factors that, if analyzed by, let's say, a lawyer that actually knows what he's doing, could disprove a lot of things with these suspects. Who visually seen these suspects on the scene? How can me flashing money on the screen be dictated back to Tentacion? Now, if they told me they checked the serial numbers and all the money they had matched up with Tentacion's money he withdrew, that would be a different situation. That was not presented that way. That is the normal way an investigation is done when exemplary service is done by an investigator to verify evidence in a case that is used to prosecute someone in the court of law. That cannot be verified. The only thing we have in an investigation standpoint that could be verified is that he is allegedly deceased, as there was a funeral, and I don't know what took his body off. There were a couple things people said. One said an ambulance, another said a fire truck. We can't approve or disprove anything because, unlike other crime cases, we do not have live news showing what was going on. So this cannot be confirmed yet denied. But as we get into a deeper visual of motives behind the case, all we know is that he had a pending case, which happened to be a felony that involved his baby mother that he violently assaulted. Now, this was leading to several felonies. Why do I mention this? Because I feel it has a lot to do with this in the sense that he was already in dire straits. We don't know who she knew down there in Florida, so we really can't say or not say what was relevant to the case. What we can do is confirm the fact that he was involved in a case, being that his body was on the scene allegedly since his car was there, which he was registered to, which he was insured to drive. Now, reason I say we have no proof to really say he left it walking is because we don't have any video of him leaving it walking, let alone there's not even video of the passenger that was with him that allegedly ran from the case, as stated by the witness, as well as him being blocked off from the front and back, and we know there's a gate that closes. So Riva Motorsports was well in knowledge of how their gates were being controlled, as they must be always, since they are the owners of the property that dictate whether or not the gates are open or closed, obviously. Now, in this situation, for them to have no knowledge or understanding of what was going on around the scene, there is no proper investigation done on these crime scenes or suspects or the evidence. And the blood evidence is null and void since we do not even see blood. So what is blood transfer? That is created by weapons, shot close range, high-powered rifles that we know and how they work. There would not be an absence of blood if super assault weapons were used close range. That is impossible. That is not likely, and that is a very normal thing we see when people are caping. There's not many situations that make for the type of outcome that we've been able to witness, except the fact that he may have been out of it when he was drugged to the scene or placed in some type of, let's say, area that he was assaulted in. Now, all of these are basically evidence points and factors that would alleviate a scene or dictate a situation's, let's say, viability in a court setting. There's not many settings or related issues that are known in some type of setting of this scene, especially when it has to do with such incredible violence, as given to us in documents describing what happened. His car, by our knowledge, did not need clean of blood, which is the normal that would occur. Now, investigators have been very tight-lipped in saying that they have evidence that they're not releasing, which I do not believe, because the way the case unfolded and because the nature of how the evidence was produced. They still have 2 suspects that are allegedly on the run and 2 suspects that are allegedly in custody. Now, we could not find their profiles in earlier searches or earlier details to dictate left or right. And in cases like these, it's very seldom that we do find a solution, let alone we find some type of evidence leading to, for, or against anything that's being released to us in statements. Now, with this being the case and all of these evidence factors being left out of the situation, is it really easy to say that we have any DNA evidence to confirm or any uncircumstantial or circumstantial evidence to allege all of these suspects at the scene of the crime during this time? All we see are indictments to 4 men who have very violent pasts. Now, in their past, these things are going to be used, as I explained, by prosecution to dictate them as violent individuals who could have committed this crime. If that is the case, that they committed a crime of this nature, it will be seen and it will come out. But to date, we don't have any factors that prove or disapprove any situation validating that to be the case. Again, there are not any evidence factors leading these men to even being involved in shooting. Were there samples of their hands taken to show gunpowder residue if they were shooting such high-power rifles? Was there any more details surrounding the money to actually show that they were in holding of Tentacion's money? Or were they set up in a position to come retrieve a bag of money when the death had already occurred? This is a very, let's say, questionable situation, especially being we don't have camera footage. So what is there to place the suspects at the scene of the crime other than Diedrich going and buying a mask? And did that mask match the 2 men that were used to shoot? As we seen, the witness first claimed there was men in 2 red masks. Then it was doubled over by authorities saying that was not the case. So we have 2 conflicting stories that are being used as credible evidence to place individuals in a situation where they're going to be convicted. This is not the norm, and this is a very troublesome issue, being we know the court system has to work in a certain process. If these individuals are able to be prosecuted off of strictly their character, not only do we enter a new level of, let's say, court ruling, but the grand jury can continually use this case in Florida and other states to link individuals to crimes and situations, not only without DNA evidence, but without circumstantial evidence being confirmed, let alone the tags on money, the numbers on money being confirmed. There's a lot of missing links, but still these men are being condemned for this situation. Now, I'm not saying they did it, so I'm not saying that they are not guilty, nor am I saying they are guilty. I'm asking, where's all the normal evidence that is used to surrender many people's rights on a daily basis after violent crimes of this nature? We do not see it. It is not apparent. These things have been left out. And the fact these things have been left out, again, is going to draw back their sentencing strictly off a character of their past. And when that is used, it will open up a new level of basically condemning and prosecuting violent criminals all over the states. I will then be able to not have your DNA, not have anything gun related, nothing but social media pictures, and I will use them against you and can point them out as this being taken right after the crime and say I will allegedly prosecute you. Now, with names withheld, there were other individuals who took pictures near the area, but were cleared by social media and some freak investigation that alleged they could not have been possibly able to do this. Now, that is very troublesome, being they could not use the same for these individuals, which meant it could have been strictly off of their past. So now, when this case goes through, and if an investigation leads to a conviction, we will now be able to dictate charges on individuals because of their character and because of evidence that is not released on a norm that is released. And using social media can not only damn people by social media, but then again use social media to clear people, which could be a very serious problem for the law system, because you do not have solid evidence to disclude someone who may be of relevance. I mean, we can say someone was somewhere at a certain time right after it, but did you match the serial number of the money they were spending? The money that was being spent has yet to be matched to the money that he pulled out of the bank, which would be conclusively certified and marked, being that he went to a certain bank to take certain money out, and it was clocked at a certain number, because a bank must verify all of the money that they give out, especially being in the size of money he took out. Why was the money in all 20s? Why, when they flashed it, it was 20s, not hundreds, being it was $50,000? This is a very, very, let's say, troubling case, being that this can lead to future issues of monies being used to prosecute people because of timing, forethought, and opinion. And then I'd use your character to hold you dead to rights. This is a very serious case, more than people really know about it. That is why I made a series on it. That is why I will be speaking about it. Even if I choose to do something else, I will be coming back to it in short time, because a lot of people need to understand how seriously this is, to opening up a can of worms to take felons who may have turned their life around and get caught in a circumstantial situation, may not be guilty, to strictly prove their guilt. There are too many bad indications of what can happen to this being allotted into our system and this being confirmed. This will change the future. All rights reserved.